All right, here we go. Well, welcome to Hope, everybody. My name's Tammy Lynn Connors. Tonight I have my new friend Reggie with me. I keep getting all these great new friends. How are you tonight, Reggie?
I am great. I am honored to, finally be on, man. I feel like a superstar. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm super excited about this interview. Just so everybody knows what hope is, and my mission and vision is just to help other people. My podcast is called Hope, Helping Other People Evolve. My mission is to just help somebody get through a struggle to get to a strength. And so, what I do is I interview people that have unfortunately been through struggles, but fortunately now they're at a strength and they can offer hopes to others. I love how God puts universe, God, whatever you want to believe, I believe it's God, puts people in my life. So one day I'm scrolling on Facebook and I watched this group of guys on the Man Cave on Indie TV, it's called on Facebook. Well, I came across these four guys chit chatting on here. I was like, let me see what these guys have to say. So I started following Reggie on there then. So I remember the first time I watched, and they were probably like, who is this girl, Tammy Lynn Connors? She keeps commenting on stuff.
Funny.
So I ended up friending Reggie on Facebook, and then it was probably a few weeks later I saw your post about your book that you wrote
Yeah.
that is
Mm-hmm.
launching on the 22nd, correct?
22nd, yep.
Yeah, and the name of the book is The Pursuit of Moving Forward.
Shoot
And
moving forward.
so that intrigued me, and your post did too. So I reached out, and here we are. And I'm
Here we
super
are.
excited to hear your story. I've heard some of it, and I
Yeah.
just can't wait for you to share with others. The struggles that you went through, but where you're at today, and how life is now. So
Okay.
you want to start? I don't know. Wherever you want to start. Start at the beginning of where your struggles started.
Well, yeah. First, let me say, you hit it dead on point. We do a show on any TV network, Thinking Outside the Box is what it's called, right? So it's me, Holy Grind, B Scholar, Moolah Monster. We go on there, we talk about a lot of crazy topics, but it's always some good stuff, you know what I'm saying? So um, I think that the most that I get out of doing that show is that I get to be myself, but I also get to be a person that gives out the message, right?
Mhm.
So my journey started different than most people, right? I started my journey of focusing on figuring out who I am at an early age, right? First of all, to everybody that don't know me, my name is Reggie, but I go by Reggie moving forward. So the name kind of catches how it is. My
Mhm.
whole life since I can remember, I've been trying to focus on what I need to do to move forward because it seemed like I always was going through stuff. With abandonment, being an only child, right? Loneliness, alcohol, like everything. And it seemed like I experienced a lot of deaths. So it's a lot of different things that I experienced at an early age. But I think it started when I was the only child growing up. It was just me and my mom. I probably met my father maybe 3 times in my life, and I talk about that in the book as well. The book is called The Pursuit of Moving Forward. It's coming out this Saturday. I talk about it on the show as well, but I try to highlight how important it is to have your father in your life and how important that is with mental health because mental health has different faces, right? A whole lot of different faces. So the stuff that I've been through, I would say over 65, 75% of people been through, that's kids, that's growing up, right? Growing up without a father or growing up with being an only child, growing up with peer pressure, or drugs, alcohol, things that normal people go through, right?
Right.
For me, I took a different toll. My mom passed at 19 years old. I found her in the bathroom, right? And I talk about all this stuff in the book, right? I found my mom in the bathroom and it destroyed my life. Like, I went to drugs, alcohol. I started becoming very violent, just different things. I became isolated in life, right? I was always figuring out how am I going to move forward from certain stuff. It was super hard, and it took me a long time. I mean, this happened when I was 19. I could say it took me easily over 10 years for me to figure out the next steps of how to get past certain things, right? So
Right.
now, today, I can say that I'm glad because I have mastered how to move forward to a certain extent. Like I said, I talk about all this stuff in the book. Once again, you can find this book on or wherever. You can go to the website www.N.A.S. SOCIECY, theNASSociety.com. I'll explain that to you in a second too.
Okay.
But the N.A.S Society is basically me starting this organization. N.A.S stands for not a statistic. So I've always been labeled for some reason for something, whether it's my height, my race, my age, my voice, whatever. And that's a big thing that a lot of people go through. People are labeled by how they look, by how they
Right.
dress, by how they talk, where they from, what the color, you know, what I'm saying, their skin. So the N.A.S Society's been doing a lot of good things. We do a podcast with them too, but we have a lot of good topics. We do a lot of good work in the community. So my story is a little different, but I highlight how important mental health was. PTSD from finding my mother, right? PTSD from being in prison because I did do some time in jail for something. In my madness, you see what I'm saying, when I was going through all that stuff. And I want to reach people in this book about how to move forward through all that stuff because it's super hard. It's never easy, but I think people don't have like a guide of how to do it. So I tell my story while giving a guide in this book. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know that we talked a little bit about the mental health and the whole like. So finally, the day that you decided, hey, I'm going to write this book. I'm actually going to lay my life out on pages of paper in order to help other people. What made you decide to do that? Because that's pretty I mean, I guess it's transparency, and we
Yeah.
talked a little bit about how hard that was.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I am completely nervous about this book dropping this weekend. Okay.
Okay.
Very nervous. My friends, I am very nervous. I've been real for the last 5 years. I've been real secretive about what I've been through, you know, because
Mhm.
it was hard for me to forgive myself. And I think that's a big thing about people. Sometimes when you make mistakes and you do things, you can't forgive yourself. So you don't expect other people to forgive you. You expect other people to judge you, and you don't want to be in that light, right? So for years,
Mhm.
I say at least 5 years, I couldn't forgive myself for the stuff I did. And now moving forward, hence the name. I want to, I have to, it's not a want, I have to tell my story from my words. I have to be able to let my story be told because God forbid I'm leaving this earth tomorrow or next week or whatever. My story has to be told from my words because people can have their own interpretations of stuff that you've been through. When I went through my madness with alcohol and mental health and all that stuff, people had their own assumption of what I was going through without asking me, and that was the narrative, right? We know that as a society, once a rumor is out there, people are going to make their own assumption of what it
Oh
is, and
yeah.
then it is going to take off. And you can see that in sports and in hip hop and in everything. If something is posted in social media or in the tabloids, it takes off, regardless of what if it's true or not. It
Right.
takes off. Right? So, biggest part for me writing this book was I had to have my story told by me, and it was not easy. It was super hard. I get emotional talking about it. I get emotional writing it, everything, but for me, for my kids, for my mother, I had to get this story out, and I'm proud of it. It's just like, oh my God, it's almost here. So what am I do? You know?
Right. Yeah, it's almost here.
Yeah,
Saturday. I can't wait for it. So how
yeah.
many kids do you have?
I have three boys.
3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. How old are they?
16, 14, and 12.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So are they going to read the book?
You know what? My oldest son asked me to read it, and
Oh,
I told him I'd let him read it just because he's that age. But
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm giving you the heads up, man. There's gonna be a lot of stuff in there that you're gonna be like, all right, Dad, what was that about? You know, so
Right.
I don't want them to be too shocked, but I do want them to understand that the stuff that I went through, I don't want them to go through. So
Right.
I'm gonna have that conversation with them, like, look, I went through this in such and such year. I was going through this, I was going through that, but I want to help that you don't go through that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I didn't grow up without a father. Because I didn't have that. I talked about this in like chapter 4 or 5. That male presence in my life to kind of mold me into don't go this way, don't go this way. Because you know the fact is that when women raise men, and don't get me wrong, my mother did a great job with me,
Right.
right? And there's a
Right.
lot of women that do great jobs with young men raising, but every young man needs their father in their life,
Yeah.
needs a father figure, needs that type of role model because
Yeah.
these streets is unforgiving, and you will
Right.
learn faster if you don't know that. Yeah, they unforgiving, so
Yeah.
you need that type of role model. So yeah, I'm gonna let them read it. It's just I have to give them that disclaimer, like, okay, it's gonna be kind of tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that your 16-year-old wants to read it. I think that's good because like my son, so he's 32, right? And
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's even listened to any of my podcasts yet.
Oh,
'Cause he's like, I think the first one kind of is like I think he's kind of like he knows kind of what I went through, but he's like, I don't know if I'm ready to hear it again, you know. And I
mm,
think that that like you said, when I'm going to go back to when you talked about forgiving yourself,
yeah,
you know, I think that that is so important. Like we can forgive others for some crazy things that people
that's
do,
true.
right? But we don't forgive ourselves.
Hmm.
And I just had this conversation with someone the other day about that. Like we need to give ourselves grace. You know,
Yeah.
we give grace to so many people for so many things over and over and over again, but we
Hmm.
never give ourselves that grace, you
Yeah.
know? And I think about it like I look at you and you said you're 36, correct?
36.
So you've been on this earth for 36 years
Yeah.
and
Hopefully, I
you're
still look like I'm, 26, but
you
that's
still look like I was thinking more like
different.
24, but we'll go
Right.
with 30. We'll go with
Yeah.
no. I listen, I say I'm 32, so
Right, there you go.
but
Yeah. You
yeah,
better
I saw
place
my son, we're the same age now. But to think about, you know, the things that you've gone through,
Yeah.
and I love what you said about telling your sons, like, I went through this, and this is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to show you, so you don't go through this struggles that I went through, the
Yeah.
heartaches that I went through. You
Yeah.
know, I know, like with your mom, that's something that you can never really explain to your
Mhm.
child. You know, feelings through that.
Yeah.
But the other things that you've done, you know, when you turn to alcoholism or addiction and, you
Yeah.
know, did not smart choices, you know, we try to instill that like, hey, we did this. It wasn't a good idea. This is what
Yeah.
happened. So I
Yeah.
think that that's really awesome. But I know that we talk to a lot about mental health
Yeah.
and how important that is, you
Yeah.
know. And if you could talk a little bit about, you know, your feelings on getting that mental health awareness out there.
So what I do is on the last show I did for um I talked about mental health on the last show, and it was important because you see these podcasts, you see different shows, and people talk about stuff that's entertaining, right? We do a lot of entertaining stuff. We make a lot of jokes, right? So on this particular segment, I wanted to make sure that I focused on mental health because over the last few months, the suicide rate has been rising, right? People have been turning to a lot of drug addictions, ODing from all type of alcoholism, just like different things, right? And I want to highlight it because as I said in the book, I went through a lot of mental trauma, and it
Mhm.
was maybe because of my mom, because of my father not being around, right? Going to prison, going to jail, or not having money. Like mental health has so many different phases, right? There's a
Right.
lot of people out here that's struggling. They don't have nobody to talk to. They don't have a best friend. They don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, right? They don't have a help group to turn to. So what do they turn to? They turn to the streets, turn to prostitution, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to violence. So these are the things that they turn to because it forgives them, makes them feel better, and not think about what they're going through, right? So
Right.
the platform that I have, I think it's important for me to utilize that, not only because I went through it, because I know a lot of people I know and I don't know, but I know a lot of people that goes through it. They don't know how to move forward from it, man, and it's super tough. Like I tell you, when I was in my madness, like when I was drinking, I'm talking about 2 and 3 bottles a day. I wouldn't even
Mhm.
eat food. Food wasn't what's food, right? As long as I had alcohol, that's what I needed, and that made my mind transition to think that everything I was going through was okay. No, that is very unhealthy to have that
Mhm.
mindset. But that's what I went through, right? And when I highlighted in the book that when you go through that, when you hurt yourself, you're only hurting yourself because you feel like others hurt you. When it's
Mhm.
not even the case, others didn't hurt you. Is that you just apparently didn't have that person to confide in, or you see what I'm saying? So I like to talk about mental health a lot because, like I said, I went through it, but I know people go through it, and I don't. The suicide rate is keep going up and up and up, and I feel like I have to do something, even if it's just a minute part of it to help it. I need to bring awareness because the show that we do, we have a lot of viewers, and who you never know, 50% of those viewers might be going through something that's traumatic, right? And
Right.
we want to be able to help that. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's good, and I think it's going to continue to go better, especially this year.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing with that is and this is just I believe this is truth. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the statistics. Maybe I should before I speak this. But women talk more about their mental health than men do, right?
Oh,
Because
yep.
women are like, we talk, we do, we express more than, and I believe this is just my theory that we
Mhm.
do be more than men because men have been told pretty much your whole life
Yeah,
you don't do that, right? You keep it
yeah,
to yourself. You'll figure it out. You know, you don't go talk to anybody about it. So,
yeah.
is that something that you felt like for a while?
A big part in that, what you just said, is so vital because that's something that's hard for most men to admit, right? Women are
Mhm.
more nurturing. They're more, you can confide in them more, right? They're more
Mhm.
forgiving. They're more, okay, best friend, let's talk. Or girl, you better talk to me. You know what's going on, right?
Right.
Men have such a masculinity, such a dominant, conquering presence that when he's brought up that crying is not okay for man. You know, you better wipe off them tears. You know,
Right.
being as a man, you're taught not to be submissive. You're taught not to be emotional. You can't cry. If somebody pushed you down on the floor when you're a kid, you better give them push them back. Don't cry, right? So that's just how the difference is between men and women, which is very important because when I went through my madness, right, I don't have any brothers, but I got some guys that I consider really, really close, and I didn't talk to them. Why? Because that's not in our circle of conversations. You know, if you have a group chat, right? Like ideally, you have a group chat with girls. What do girls talk about? Girl, this is what Craig did to me. I'm so emotional. What should I do to him? Right? I can't believe he did this to me. Right? Guys' group chats is totally different than that. Guys' group chats are showing no emotion. We're not crying. We're not doing none of that stuff. We talking about some stuff that I can't really say on air, but it's just a difference, man. So that's why when it comes to mental health, men don't confide in men. Why do you think a lot of men go to like priests and go into the box and confess certain sins and things like that? Because they can't do that to men. Now, what a man would do, he might confide into his brother or his best friend about something that he regret. Man, I shouldn't have did that, bro. I feel I'm bogus for that, you know. But he's not about to say, man, bro, I feel like crying all night because I miss my mom. Because
Right.
as a man, that's not accepted. Like that's not looked at as, you see what I'm saying, cool or hard. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's something that we should change. But that's definitely the reality.
And I think that you doing this and writing your book and talking about it is helping with that change. And I'm seeing it more and more and more. I interviewed, I don't know if you saw it or not, Dr. Carl Stokes a few
Yeah,
weeks
yeah,
ago,
for sure. Yeah, check that out.
and he talked about that too because, and I this is these are my favorite podcasts, is learning and talking about mental health, but especially when I have men on here that will express like, hey, we have feelings, hey, yes, we struggled, yes, I mean, of course you're sad because your mom, and you do have the nights that I'm sure still,
Of course.
but you're just like, nope, we can't say anything about that. And especially, maybe, I don't know if it has anything to do with areas that people live into, makes a big difference. I know that you live in Chicago, right? So
Yeah,
you grew up on
yeah,
the streets of Chicago. I'm sure that it wasn't easy, like any
yeah.
of it.
I mean, I think that's another thing. Growing up, I'm born and raised in Chicago, right? In the urbanness of urbanism of Chicago. So growing up like that, you know, you have a certain code of conduct around the guys that you just don't really say certain things, you know, to show your vulnerability side. So yeah, that plays a factor into it. But I know now Reggie at 36 can say stuff that Reggie at 16 and 26 couldn't say. You know,
Right,
so Reggie
right.
at 36 can say, yeah, I have times where I miss my mom, right? And I feel like crying and I feel ashamed about it. Or I feel like, you know, I feel a depression coming on where I feel like, man, I want to go turn to the bottle. What should I do? You know, I think one of the things I just said is highlighting that I am going through this. What should I do? You know, what should I do? Who should I talk to? Should I confide in somebody? Because I'm telling you, it's real easy to go through stuff and go to the liquor store and buy that bottle or go to the weed man and get that whatever.
Mhm.
But it's harder to reach out and say, hey, I know, I'm sorry, I need to talk. Can you talk? It's kind of like I don't know, like a pride thing for a lot of men
Right.
and women too. But like you said, women are more, you know, they're more
Yeah.
confiding with that. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you drink now?
I socially, you know, not a lot like
Socially.
that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, compared to where I was years ago, 2 or 3 bottles a day,
Yeah.
I'm way better than where I was at.
I was
Just
just curious. Yeah, so yeah, and you talked a little bit. Let me see. I wrote something down here about, is it, oh, donating to prisons? Maybe was there something about prisons that you were?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what is that?
So a lot of stuff I do now with the N.A.S Society. Once again, N.A.S stands for non-statistic. We do a lot of care packages for guys and women that's in prison. So we send them toothpaste, toilet tissue, just the bare essentials. Because what I talk about also in the book is that when you're behind those bars, you are treated like you are exactly a number. There's no Reggie. There's no Tammy. There's number N45356, right? And you're treated. It's so dehumanizing, right? And you wouldn't understand it unless you've been through it. So because I've
Right,
been through it, I understand it. So what
right,
we do is we donate a lot of stuff that they won't give you unless you have to beat down the door to get bare essentials that a human would need: soap, toothpaste, right? Even food sometimes. So we donate all that stuff twice a month. We go into the county jail and we talk to the inmates in there once a
okay,
month. We also have inmates lives matter, where we send certain literature because a lot of people don't like to read, but if you see something that you can read that might be impactful, like they have the Daily Breads or something like that, right? So
right.
send that type of information, things that may take a person's mind off their surroundings and kind of get them in the mindset like it's going to be okay. It's just temporary, because what they don't tell you is these prisons, they are supposed to be rehabilitation centers, but they're not. They're not.
Right,
It's
right,
not designed to rehab a person.
right.
So that's what we like. The literature we send, and like I tell you, we getting a lot of good researches from it. It's been really good, man. I
That's
like the
awesome.
turnaround from where I've been to where I'm at now is I would have never saw it
Yeah. Yeah,
coming.
it's amazing. And I like the one thing that you said, that I interviewed a girl a little few weeks ago, and she was actually in a federal prison for a little bit, and she talked about that too. Like, they call it correctional facilities, rehabilitation facilities,
It's
but
not.
it's
Yeah,
not. It's not, and it's
not.
sad that it's not. But I guess, you're offering that hope to those inmates. I mean, I'm sure that when that twice a month comes, they're like, yes, N.A.S came through again, or the book, and you don't know whose life that could change,
Yeah,
and especially when you go in there, and I was going to ask you about this too, like going in there and actually talking to the inmates, and you can, I think that it makes a big difference.
yeah,
I love people that go in there and they talk, but they don't know. They don't know. Like for me, right? For me to go to sit in a prison and say, "Hey, here I am," and they're looking at me like, "Girl, you don't even know anything about this place,"
yeah,
right? But to have somebody that's been there and can say, "Man, I've been here. I know. I can relate to how you're feeling. Not I know how you're feeling, but I can relate to how you're feeling." I think
yeah.
that that's a really big impact. How long have you had N.A.S Society?
This has been going strong for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it's grown. I was afraid to do it initially because of that fear. Like I'm telling
Uh-huh.
you, fear can really put doubt in your mind that you want to do, but that
Mhm.
fear alone can, man, ain't nobody gonna support you, ain't nobody gonna rock with you. But taking that step out and doing it, just like you're doing with Hope. I'm sure when
Yeah.
you started this, you was like, "Oh, should I do it?" But now it took off. Like
Right.
now I'm a celebrity because I'm on here. So it's like when you start things, you are scared at first, but when it takes off, you see the fruits of your labor, and trust me, I see the fruits of it. And you're right, because I've been through certain things. When I go into those prisons and those jails, I can talk different. You see what I'm saying? If you want to learn how to shoot a jump shot, Michael Jordan coming to show you, as opposed to somebody that never played basketball in their life, is it's a difference. You see what I'm saying? So I value what I do. Listen, I love what I do. I love the platform that I have. Even with being on the network, Indie Network, talking with the show with the guys, that's a great platform for me. I got another project that's coming up real soon that a lot of people is gonna like too. So, I mean,
Awesome.
you follow me, so but if anybody don't follow me, I'm Reggie Ford on Facebook. It's a lot of good stuff that's about to coming up this year, man. I am super excited, only because I promise you, Tammy, years, 5, 6 years, 10 years from now, I would have never seen this coming. I was probably at the
Yeah.
lowest I've ever been in my life. But the transformation is like amazing. So I'm ready for it.
I love that. I don't know if you follow Trent Shelton at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. He
Yeah.
has a saying, and it's your transparency will lead to someone else's transformation.
Yep, I heard
And
it.
I think that that is so, it's always been such a powerful thing that I've heard because it's so true. Like you said in your book, you're nervous about it coming out this week because people are going to be like, whoa, wait, what? You know what I
Yes.
mean? But anybody that knows you knows what you've done is just to help other people. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
and
it's scary when you think of you knowing that your life story is about to come out, stuff that you've never told nobody, and especially because I have like a little platform now. So when people read that I used to be a stripper, it's gonna be a whole different. No, that was a joke.
I was gonna be like, you didn't mention that.
That is not in the book. Ah,
Oh,
no, that was a joke. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
I love
A
that.
lot
That
of
was
stuff that
good.
I've done, man, that a lot of my close friends don't even know about. So
Mhm.
I'm just excited for everybody to read it, and I just want it to be a blessing because I know it will. And in 10 years from now, people are going to read this book and be like, "Man, I'm going through this, and this is how I get through it." So
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're leaving a legacy,
yeah.
for so many people. So when writing your book, when it was all said and done, did that help with your healing process?
Oh, major, major. Now, mind you, this book was 4 or 5 years in the making. So I would write it and I would stop because of being scared, right? So every time I would write a chapter or a paragraph, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even going to get past this. I'm going to get past this, right? But yeah, I think that I've healed so much through this book. And I think I'm nervous now that it's about to be here in a couple of days. I think I'm nervous because I finally feel like I've forgiven myself, so it's like it's like a weight coming off my chest, So
Yeah,
I'm excited, and I think it's gonna do great.
good, good. So so with your N.A.S society, is that like a nonprofit then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then how do people like find that?
Just go to the website www.nassociety.com. That's www.nassociety.com. And if you want to contribute with anything we're doing, there, like I said, we work with the youth in Chicago. So a couple times a month we go into the urban cities. We help clean it up. We do a lot of work over there, man. So even if it's not with the inmates, if you don't want to donate to the inmates, or if you don't want to donate with the children, we do work with women, the homelessness, right? So there's a couple shelters here in Chicago that we work with that we try to get people into some type of housing because when it gets cold in Chicago, and it gets cold in Chicago.
Right. Right
So
now it's cold,
yeah,
right?
it's terrible here as far as the weather. So there's a lot of people that's living under bridges and living on viaducts and stuff like that. So what we try to do, we try to help them find shelter. So all this stuff is on the website. You can go click on it if you want to donate. If you want to be a part of it, that's cool. But like I said, we get a lot of great responses. When we were doing for like 2 years, so it's been going real straight.
That's awesome. I mean, I knew that you had Not Society, and I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't realize that you did all of that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
The giving back. I think that in our world, well, I think that every person is born to, we all have a purpose, and we need to find our purpose and figure it out what it is that we're supposed to give to the
Yeah.
world, and so I love that you've found your purpose and that you're giving back. That's huge to me because I feel like, just like with my story, for so long the same thing, like I kept it to myself.
Yeah.
I'd share a little bit, people knew I was sober, this, that, but I never really went, here I am, Tammy Lynn Connors, alcoholic addict, da 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 da,
Yeah.
and was transparent. But once I became transparent, that's when I started, other people were like, thank you, you helped me. Thank you, you helped me. And then it's so rewarding, like, oh, I mean, it sucks that we went through all those struggles, but for us
Right.
to be able to offer the hope to others is what's so incredible. So
Yeah.
I am super excited about whatever your new adventure is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Um, I love watching you guys. If you're on Facebook, which most of you are, I think, that listen to me. Indie TV, it's
Mhm.
INDE.TV, and these guys have a great show on there. There's a lot of great shows on there,
Yeah.
but
It is.
I love tuning into you guys. Just listening to the different opinions,
Yeah.
and I don't know, maybe it's, women watch it and guys watch it, and it's been I've really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
they always know I'm on because they got 55 comments.
Yeah, we look forward to you tomorrow because we're definitely going live tomorrow with the show. Got another great
Awesome.
topic that we're going to talk about. So yeah, all the support that we've been getting from that show has been amazing. The N.A.S Society, like I said, I have a podcast that I started a couple years ago. It's been going great. I took like a month or two off to focus on this book, but now the book is here. I'm about to get back started with that next month. So, and then there's a little twist. If you do get the book, there's a little twist at the end of the book that's going to have you like, okay, so there must be a book too.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm just excited about it, man. I really am blessed. So, I mean, I'm ready for
Awesome. So your Not Society podcast, is that on Apple and Spotify?
it. On Spotify, Anchor, any
Okay.
way you listen to podcasts is
Anywhere.
on there.
Okay.
You'll
Okay.
go just type in Our Society podcast. You'll see my face as a cartoon
Okay.
character or whatever. You scroll down the shows. You probably got 20, 30 shows on there.
Awesome.
So next month we about to start it back again. Like I said, we took a month or two off. But we about to start back this time. It's a whole different setting, different studio, different. Like it's really put together, and I'm really proud of it, man. It's good to see stuff that you put together and you see the fruits of it that's put
Yes.
together. So I'm
Yes.
sure you understand that from what you're doing. So.
I do. It's great. It's great. And I love the fact of, like I said, whether you want to believe God, the universe, or whatever, puts amazing people in my life. And it's not like just like, oh, well, I message Reggie. We chit chat here and
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but I feel like we're friends now. And
of
it's just,
course.
we're just
Yeah.
gonna grow together. And I can't wait to come to Chicago and actually meet you guys and maybe sit in on one of your
I hope
podcasts or
you do.
something.
Whenever you come to Chicago,
Oh,
you already know you can come into the show.
all right. I'll hold you to that.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
So is there anything, I mean, like I said, your book's coming out Saturday, the 22nd, which I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to get my copy, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
have to get it autographed.
Well,
Um, yeah. And is there anything that you want to add before we wrap this up tonight? Any words of encouragement to anybody or?
I just want to say, man, to be honest and truthfully transparent, life is hard, man. And I say this all the time. Life is hard. It has its good moments and it has its bad moments. But how people handle life determines if there is going to be a life, right? How you handle it is determining how you're going to move forward from it. It took me a long time to finally move forward from some of the stuff that I've been through. And I want everybody out there that's listening or that may tune into this, whether it's next week and next month and next year, 10 years from now, to know that you can move forward from it. You truly can. You just got to just put the work in. I know it's hard, but life is hard. And you got it. So be sure, follow the show. That's on Indie TV Network, Thinking Outside the Box. You can follow me on social media. It's Reggie Moving Forward on Facebook. Instagram is _N.A.S _society. Um, Website is, like I said, www.N.A.S.SOCITY. Everything is not society or thinking outside the box. I really appreciate you having me on, man. I feel grateful, being honored to have this opportunity. So,
Well, I am grateful and honored that you came on here, and I will put all your links in the comment section too when we post this. So,
okay.
well, I hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for tuning in to Hope. Don't hang up right away, Reggie, because I got to make sure everything goes through. I forgot to say that in the beginning. All a learning process.
Okay. And
So,
I got one more message to tell the
yes.
listener. Okay. All right. If I was just saying, if you do want to be a stripper, that's cool. I'm not knocking people that want to strip. Okay. I'm just saying that just read the book. Just read the book. Don't worry about it.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to end it. Well, you have a blessed night, okay? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Hope. We'll see you next time.